It is Thursday and glad to be back. Lots been going on. It has been, yeah, I mean, you've all seen the news, you've read the news, you're up to speed on what's been going on, market turmoil because of China, DeepSeek, it struck everybody. So we'll cover off some of that today. Fed watch tomorrow. Interest rates, will it go up? Will it go down? Big anticipation. I think everybody's expecting it to stay down. So we'll just talk about that a little bit. China imploding, going left, right, and center. Bazooka number 2 hasn't worked. The first one didn't work. So where's the second one going? What's going on there? And lots of news in the US. They're working really hard. Look at Trump, sort of again in Vegas, giving an announcement, tax breaks, tariffs going up. And we'll go into a bit of supply demand economics and what that means and where the market is going and how this current policy and drive is going to be very different, and why I think it's going to be super beneficial for the economy in the long run. And then, sort of also what's going on in Europe, right? The ECB and the BIS are buying shed loads of bonds on the market from corporates as well as government bonds. What's that doing? They're stimulating the economy and funding deficit finance and all these budget deficits from the different accounts. So anyway, let's go into that a bit more. And happy Thursday again, Stefan Roost, founder of Laguna Labs, the builders of Truth Network, which is the global first economic decentralized database. Transparent, it's a layer 3, it's an application specific blockchain, and we are building on the blockchain. This economic data is already on the blockchain, available for anybody, transparent, immutable for anybody to see, and the Explorer is coming out next week. So stay tuned. In this sprint, they're close to finish. I saw the demos today. So the Explorer on chain, where you can actually track all the movements, the data streams, primitive data, composed data, and you'll be able to see all of that on chain. So pretty excited about that. And that announcement's coming hopefully next week. The teams are already preparing to announce that, along with a couple of other interesting things. But yeah, and obviously Truflation. Truflation is taking that data and presenting it so that anybody can track it, interpret the data, and work with the data and actually get real insight. And I don't know if you saw, but we just posted today that inflation is coming down. What's that? I thought Stefan said the 3 is the new 2, and inflation is coming down. It's falling. Yeah, it's falling right now. It's January. Remember, January is always a slower month because we all spent a lot. We got tax bills to pay. We are recovering from the holidays, school bills to pay, etc. So we're not consuming that much. So again, the demand has been restricted, which means the supply is going up. So prices don't move compared to the same time last year. So remember, this is not the 24% increase that we experienced over the last 4 years based on the Biden economy, the Bidenomics. This is just year-on-year price change. So take a look at that. We posted a while back about Bidenomics and how that was really a failed economy. Here, where did I post that? Did I post that? X.com. We shared with you the economy around how Biden actually performed how inflation performed during Bidenomics, and it didn't look very good, to be honest. It looked really bad. Anyway, I mean, I could go into that. But there are a couple of things that are going on right now that I thought were really interesting. And I'll share some of those with you and not share this page. But I think, that's sort of what's happening. And so what does this mean? And what is this data telling us? And as you know, what we've been highlighting at Truflation is that given the fact that we have real-time data sets, that real-time data is providing us a 45-day lead time over the numbers that are coming out of the BLS January is always an anomaly. Why? Because in January, the BLS changed their methodology. So just be aware of that. But either way, we're seeing a decline. We have a 45-day lead time. So we'll see what will that mean. And I think, given the fact that tomorrow we have the the Fed's meeting right now, and they're announcing tomorrow their interest rate decisions. What interest rate decisions will they be making? Will they be up leveling their interest rates? Will they be down leveling them? Will they be keeping them the same? And I think the market consensus, as you can imagine, is to keep them the same and not change them. And you can see here, oops, this is not the slide I wanted to share. Here we go. Let's share this tab instead, which is looking at Polymarket. Polymarket is a prediction market where a lot of people can predict the up or down associated with specific information. You can come on here and play around and do some predictions. So here, Fed rates, what's going to happen? What will the Fed do at the upcoming Jan 29th meeting? So Jan 29th is tomorrow. And so will they change the rates or not? There's the FOMC meeting, Jan 29th, as we talked about. And here is 98% of no change. And look how that's shifted over time. As the data gets more and more transparent and closer to any kind of announcements, we heard that inflation a number out publicly in the market from the government, reported 2.9, so slight increase. So the government's still really nervous about inflation. We believe 3 is the new 2. And so if that's the new case, what is there likely to happen? No change predicted. You've got the same on the Fed watch. Also, 99.5%, no change. You can see that there. And lastly, we have another prediction market in the Web 2 world. So we have a Web 3 prediction, we have a government platform, and we have a Kalshi platform. And Kalshi equally predicting a Web 2 one, predicting 99% probability of no change. So it's looking pretty boring, not much happening. But of course, everybody's going to be paying attention to Jerome Powell's speech. What he's going to say is going to be dovish, is going to be hawkish. Every single word's going to be dissected. And he's going to have mainstream media, sort of questioning him, not industry experts, not critical thinkers in the room, which I think they should start having so that we can actually get to the bottom of what's going on and really ask critical decisions of what is really taking place versus relying on the BLS, which is the Bureau of Lying Statistics. And how do we fix that? How do we fix the Bureau of Lying Statistics? And that's why we created Truflation. And hopefully Doge and Elon takes appreciation for that. And we want to see more traction around what we're building on the blockchain. So we're an application-specific blockchain connecting into all the different EVMs and non-EVMs across the different networks, from the move area through to the Rust programming area and Golang categories. So integrating with many, many different platforms so that, again, everything can be available, as well as having Web 2 APIs so anybody can subscribe to the data, even if you're building a Web 2 application. So yeah, pretty boring on that front. And again, to the point here is why we're building this. We sent out, Musk is exploring blockchain use in the US government efficiency effort, right? So to drive efficiency, how can we use the blockchain? Said to be held with multiple public blockchains. So let's see where that goes and how we can interconnect with those public blockchains, as we're agnostic, as we're a layer 3. Especially around the BLS. And you've seen the Doge letters that we've written. If you haven't, go check them out. We've written as to the cost benefit comparison between BLS and that of Truflation. Anyway, so we think that there should be a lot of improvement around that. And obviously, on the blockchain, how can we see more activity on the blockchain? How can we get the governments to share their public wallets on the blockchain so we can see the income coming in? What are the sources of income? And we can have chain analysis do the source of those wallets, track the source of wallets that are actually the recipients of those, and where they go, which department they go to, how they get distributed, and what is that actual tax income being spent on versus just being a nebulous black box that then ultimately people in a room decide how that gets allocated. I was just watching Phidias the other day, and he was talking about uh, is it Phidias? Yeah, here he is. Ducka, ducka, duck. And what's he talking about? Democracy, right? What he talks about here, check this post out, right? He talks about there are thousands of people working in the European Parliament. Anyway, you get the message. 24 different languages, everything's translated, and there are thousands of people working on translation. Is that efficient? Hmm. Who's paying for that? Is it the Central European bodies, and then you have translators domestically in each of the countries? I mean, it sort of seems, is that the future? Especially if we have applications like HeyGen. Have any of you tested out HeyGen? HeyGen is a application. Did any of you see the? Let me know in the chats if you saw anything about Milei when he was talking last year at the World Economic Forum, and they overlaid and shared as long Twitter or X.com all of his footage using HeyGen as the translation, AI translation. So HeyGen is an app that helps manage that. And yeah, AI here, share this tab. Here you go. Hey Jen, check this out. This could be doing it automatically live. Now we're speaking your language, right? So I can just take a subscription to here. I don't know if it has all of those languages, but ultimately you have right here, right now, the ability to get yeah, 175 languages. So not 25 languages, but with a few flicks, you can speak 175 languages. This isn't dubbing, it's AI magic. Check it out. I mean, it's really good. So check it out, this site. It's a cool tool. I'm not sponsored by them. I have no interest. I have no referral links. Maybe I should be getting some of that stuff so we can then start making some money on the video content that we're creating. But hopefully you enjoy it. Let me know if you have used this. We've tested it out, and we might be doing more with it very soon. Yeah, so that's really what's going on in Europe, right? And you see that. And I told you about some of the things currently taking place in Europe, right? But we also saw this post out there where Christine Lagarde, who is the head of the IMF, meeting with the head of the BIS, so bankers and central bankers, the head of the central banker of central bankers, central banks of central bankers, and the head of the European Central Bank coming together. So a whole bunch of central banks coming together. And guess what they're doing when they come together, right? I mean, I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but ultimately, at the same time, Christine Lagarde posts that picture. ECB settled 285.5 billion corporate bond purchases. So what are they buying? They're buying most probably Stellantis shares, cars that are going, Volkswagen bonds. So they're propping up basically industries. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but it's definitely super sus that they're actually buying big European companies, supporting the big companies. And they're also supporting the public sector in those countries, right? 2.81, that's $2 trillion. Is that right? Am I reading this correctly? ECB settled 2,118 billion public sector bond purchases. Again, what is that implying? Is that telling us that they are buying and supporting this budget deficit. And they're moving it off national balance sheet onto the balance sheet of the ECB, the European Central Bank. Super weird what's going on here. And my view is, look, do we really need central banks? I mean, all they're doing is propping up budget deficits, inefficiencies in government. How do we avoid that? How do we stop that? Is that really the right thing that these bankers should be worrying about? I don't know, but I feel we need a change in system, and we should let the money markets decide the rates of interest rates and how much lent is lent to whom. And we have risk capital, we have boring capital, we have pension money. So we have all these different types of capital where the regulations are set in stone and there are frameworks around that. Venture capital can go into early stage and feed startups. We can have mid-range private equity that come and take those startups to a whole new level and fund it with hundreds and thousands of millions of dollars. And then we scale up from there and move on and see what's taking place through pension funds that come in and support the bigger established entities and sit down and work through what is needed. Anyway, that's sort of really what's going on across Europe and the ECB. At the same time, we've got lots of stuff going on in China, right? China's struggling. They just did a huge new bazooka attempt number 2 because the bazooka event number 1 didn't go. And China stocks have been back up, right? Major stimulus, right? With the Politburo meeting coming up. It's Chinese New Year, so everything's going to be really quiet as of today. So it will be much calmer than everything else. But China has really come up and been really big in the production side of everything, right? And so on the one hand, the central government is coming in and taking over a lot of the work there. Anyway, but at the same time, you have the total opposite, right? In the US, they're doing a total, I mean, we've talked about Europe taking more of a stance, restricting policy, sort of markets, trying to drive price up, stimulate the economy by actually buying a lot of bonds and allowing these corporations and public sectors across the different nations to be able to decide how to allocate the funds. Again, bureaucrats helping bureaucrats to define how capital is allocated. And on the flip side, lots of tax. We've heard about all these taxations across all of Europe and etc. Whilst at the same time, we've got in the US, Trump going out with statements like, so look at that, man. He's going to terminate 88,000 new jobs created for the IRS, which is the Internal Revenue Service. He's actually talked about the External Revenue Service, which is around tracking and taxing importation and tariffs, right? Tracking that instead of taxing the people there. What does that do? Basically, that unlocks, number one, how can if I unlock taxation and reduce taxation, that provides extra income for households. Number two, the how do we optimize and create efficiency in the tax form submissions? At the moment, it's super complex, very difficult. You need lawyers, consultants, accountants to help you with the tax filings. And if you could simplify that, you free up more time. Again, not only time, but also money. You've taken the tax down and you've freed up time. So all of a sudden, I have more time and I have more money because I'm paying less tax. I have more time because the forms are easier to fill out and the filings are more streamlined and more efficient. Ultimately, that means I have more spending power and I have more time to spend that on goods and services. How do we stimulate and drive more goods and services. And I don't know, in economics, right, there's demand and supply curve you can see here. To me, this is really one thing that we've been restricted, and you can see that across the WEFonomics. Has been really waffle-onomics, right? It's not worked. It's bad. It's ruined most of the economies. Why? Because what they've tried to do is restrict supply. We do not want more supply. So ultimately has led in price going up. Look at the supply of gas. Look at the supply of utility costs. It's gone up because we've had less supply of gas, meaning price go up. Price go up means it gets charged onto people. Same with food. With all of these policies, they've been about restricting supply. And what Trump is now doing is trying to drive more supply into the market. The more supply, how do we unlock more supply into the market, bringing more goods and services into the market, less regulation, less regulators, right? Every new law has to get rid of 10 old laws. Every new law has to have a time limit associated with that law. So the more you can bring supply into the market, you bring down costs, you bring down inflation. And that's the problem that China is really going through right now with deflation. They've been the manufacturing hub of the world. This whole global supply chain broke down. And now ultimately we're stuck with this huge supply chain and backlog that's trying to come into the market. And in China market, there's not enough demand domestically. And what do they do now? And so they're looking to drive exports with that and bring down the costs uniquely. And that's partially what's happened really with DeepSeek, right? I mean, the cost of DeepSeek has come down significantly and had a huge impact across the whole tech world. Is it just a one-off? I don't know. I just tried to come on to DeepSeek. I downloaded the app just today on my phone. I've been using it as a browser, so that's been going good. But when you download it, and it's been slow, but I can't even register my mobile app anymore because it's struggling with keeping up. Most probably all of us are trying to connect and use it. So there are challenges there, right? Bear that in mind. And you look at what has happened associated with that price drop across all of tech, right? So Bitcoin's come down, but so is Nvidia, as you've known, right? So Nvidia, huge drop last night, right? So look at the last drop, whoosh, right down. But bear in mind, this is not the first time it's dropped this much. And look, it's up still $120. It was when back in October, right? So over it's back to the rate 3 months ago. And look, it's already picked up significantly from there, from 116. So it's buy the dip. Is that the strategy? Are people going in? But look at the drop here. We had a big drop from 126 all the way down to what's this, 102. So again, a $20 drop right here, actually $24 drop. And what you're seeing here, 147 down to 125, okay, 118. So that's also maybe a $30 drop. So it's significantly bigger, but you can see the drop again up here. When was this? 127 all the way down to 104. So yeah, it's not uncommon. It seems to correct itself, and it's good. It's correcting itself, right? But you look overall, it's up 101% in the last year compared to Tesla, up 106%. Compared to Apple, only 24, TSMC, etc., etc. So you can see it. I'm not sharing the tab I'm looking at. Damn it. Here's the tab. Looking at NVIDIA shares and what's going on here. You can see the exact performance I was talking about. Here, the drops, bang. Another big drop here, DAC, and then here another drop again, which is the one that just happened around DeepSeek. But either way, we have a lot to learn, and innovation, and especially in technology, brings down unit costs significantly quick, especially once you've built out and got the platform already going. So again, here a lot more around supply and demand, how that really works. And I think we're getting into a market where it's how do we accelerate the supply and simplify the growth of goods and services. By deregulation, we allow entrepreneurs into the market to create new goods and services. By driving more supply of goods into the market, the better the outcome there. Yeah, and that's what we're entering into. Check out some of these videos, check out some of the services I shared, and I'll be back again next Tuesday at the same time, same place, same channel. I'm trying to keep these shorter. Let me know if you like these better, and then we'll try and clip them and then put some of the clips out there. But hope you like these. We'll get more into Truflation. We got a couple of announcements coming out in the next couple of days, so stay tuned. Hope you enjoyed this. Thank you, everybody, and have a great weekend. And I'll see you again on Tuesday.